Oop skips friend's funeral to go to SIL's wedding because his friend's sister is OOP's ex. I am not op. Original post by you, character Jaguar 3037 in R. Am I the asshole? Trigger warnings. Manipulation. Death. Less than. Mood spoilers. Sad. Dumpster fire Reddit comments. Less than. An NBSP. WIBTA for going to the funeral of my ex-GF's brother and missing my SIL's wedding. May 6, 2023. I am 25. Am in a relationship with Amelia, F26, since 2 years. She is wonderful. We live together and I think we are close to engagement. In the past, I was in a relationship with Julia, 25F. We met in high school and had a very passionate relationship for 5 years, but it didn't work. In the end it got quite heated between us and even with her parents. So we blocked each other. Julia had a brother Dan, 2 years younger, and we always shared a special bond. Like me, he wanted to become doctor and I helped him with med school. Even after the breakup, we stayed close. Julia and their parents weren't aware. He was definitely very important for me, almost like a younger brother. Unfortunately, Dan had a car crash and died last week. I didn't know until Julia came to my home to announce 2 days ago. I am absolutely devastated. She apologized because she wasn't aware that Dan and I were still close. She also thanked me for being there for him when he was fighting depression and that all her family would like to see me at his funeral next Sunday in their hometown. 7 hours drive. I replied that I wasn't sure if I could come because I'm running low on money at the moment and my car will be at the mechanics. She said she could drive me there, but she had to be there 2 days earlier to help with the organization. I said that I will think about it. We exchanged numbers and hugged. She cried a little and said she was sorry for all the things of the past and was happy to see me again. Amelia came home at this moment, and I explained the situation when Julia left. She already knew about my past relationship with Julia and my friendship with Dan. Amelia told me that I wouldn't be able to go at the funeral because the wedding of her sister is the same day and we both agreed to go. I said that I need a bit of time to proceed all that. The following morning, I had a very emotional phone call with Dan and Julia's parent. They apologized for the past and thanked me for being there for Dan. That they would always consider me family from now. They insisted that they'd like to host me for the funeral to save me cost. After reflection, even if it sucks for Amelia and the wedding, I cannot imagine missing Dan's funeral. I talked with my co-residents, the head of unit, and they're okay with me missing a few days and cover for me. When I told my decision to Amelia yesterday, she blowed up and said that I'm a huge dick to ditch her and her family in favor of my exes. She said that I committed to the wedding and I couldn't leave her alone to reconnect with my ex. We had a big argument and haven't talked much since. I had some messages from her friends and her sister. They said that I'm a major asshole for abandoning my GF in favor of my ex. I was sure about doing the good choice, but I start to feel bad and second guess myself. So AITA? Verdict. Nah. Top comment by you, Old Beach 2325. I'm gonna say nah because I understand wanting to be at Dan's funeral and it's not like you're missing the wedding to go party with friends or something. But I can also understand why your GF would be upset. You're going with your ex a few days early and staying with your ex-GF's family who you didn't get along with in the past to the point of blocking them on your phone. Would you be totally fine with her missing a, hopefully, once-in-a-lifetime family event to be with an ex for a funeral and being with them for days? Not just a few hours. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. There's a chance you come back from the funeral with her stuff moved out. An NBSP update. WIBTA for going to the funeral of my ex-GF's brother and missing my SIL's wedding. September 3rd, 2023. Original post is here. First of all, thanks for all the comments. It really helped me to gain perspective on my situation. Nearly 4 months later. Here's the update. After intense reflection, I decided to stick with my prior engagement and go to the wedding. I called Julia to explain briefly the situation. Also called her parents to apologize and tell that I'll come to pay my respect to them and to Dan's grave once I'll get my car back. They were very understanding. Amelia was still mad at me though. She blamed me for being tempted by Julia and her family. Again after the wedding, for pulling the long face. I was still very hurt by Dan's death. So yeah, I wasn't at my best. Our relationship was really going sour. I felt she wasn't supporting me while I was grieving my friend, but she wasn't on the same page. I started to see a new side of her and perhaps we weren't meant to be. After another argument, we broke up. 12 weeks after the wedding, she tried to salvage our relationship, but the damage was permanent. At this point, I was at my lowest. Totally devastated. In just a few weeks, I lost my friend and my relationship. I was really in a bad place. Few days after, I got my car back. Luckily it was a minor issue. It didn't cost me much. Once I got a weekend off, I visited Dan's grave and his parents. They gifted me his stethoscope. It meant a lot to me. Julia was also there, and we all remembered our memories with Dan. Very nice and emotional moments. I felt very bad about missing the funeral, but his family convinced me that what mattered was how I was present for him during his life. After that trip, I started to hang out with Julia again. It just happened naturally. Even after several years, I have to admit that we still have a deep bond. Nothing romantic though. We are both grieving Dan. And I just ended my relationship with Amelia. We both agreed that rushing into a relationship would be a bad idea. Currently, we enjoy spending time as friends. Step by step, I started to feel better. The pain is still there, but I'm learning to live with it. I try to enjoy my life, to improve as a man and as a resident every day. I'm lucky to have a great support group to rely on, especially one of my co-resident who really stepped up and is becoming an awesome friend. I'm currently living with him until I find a new apartment. I had almost no contact with Amelia since the breakup, probably for the best. I was quite bitter at one point, wondering how I went from thinking to propose her to breaking up in just a few weeks, but with time, I got closure. I know I have my fair share of responsibility, but it is what it is. The past is the past, and now I look to the future with hope and optimism. Top comment by you, Inner Show 1172. Some of these comments make me sad for humanity. Dan was your friend and you mentored him. Of course you'd mourn his loss. Thanks for the update. Many of the most popular comments on the update amount to, so Amelia was right, you were going to cheat with your ex, you have unresolved feelings for your ex. Amelia dodged a bullet. Reminder, I am not the original poster. Marked as concluded since OOP's relationship with Amelia has ended. You weren't kidding with the dumpster fire Reddit comments. I'm convinced these guys have no clue about the nuances of relationships. It's never black and white. Sometimes I think a lot of people on here haven't lost a loved one yet. Grieving is a process, not just a day. I commented on this post because everyone was focused on Amelia was right. I had to stop reading the post because the comments were so atrocious. It was like one of OOP's closest friends hadn't died, and she broke up with him, not the other way around. And he still went to the wedding instead of the funeral. He tried. Had Amelia been supportive, who knows what the outcome would have been? A powerful phrase I heard and has stuck with me is, "Grief is just love with nowhere to go." Which is why preemptive, anticipatory grief is sometimes the hardest to process. Man, I don't get this one. Look, I kind of get that someone may feel hurt if your partner still has a connection with their ex. And that's understandable. But Oop was going for their close friend, not the damn ex. Can't imagine missing the funeral of a person close to you because of a wedding which is not the wedding of your sibling, best friend, or whatever. Still get the ick for how GF reacted. TBH. Please just use the title of the original post. Your title had me so confused as to what I was getting into. So let me get this straight. Julia doesn't know that Op is still close to her brother but gave the news to Op's house instead of calling or texting. Is it just me or doesn't that sound odd? Never ever post about death online. Both here and in the original post you can see that people are functionally incapable of being kind. About grief. I got more trolls and harassment after my mom died than at any other point in my life. May you all receive exactly as much kindness as you give when someone you care about dies. I'm confused why everyone is on Amelia's side. She seems incredibly unreasonable and somewhat controlling. In what world is attending a wedding as a +1 more important than attending a close friend's funeral? And personally I think it's rather disgusting to twist that situation into OP planning to hook up with his ex. If I couldn't trust my partner enough to not sleep with someone else whilst attending one of their best friend's funerals, I would break up with them, because that relationship is already doomed. I don't get the people in the comments who automatically assume the Oop would have cheated with his ex Julia just because he still has some lingering feelings and now they are hanging out together. After the breakup, it's perfectly normal to still have some feelings for a person you were once extremely close to. Especially if you also have other aspects of your life involved with them. Like Oop's friendship with Dan. That doesn't mean you're going to cheat or anything. Seems like initial responses, insecurity or uncertainty, were totally reasonable and should have strengthened the relationship long term. But Amelia just couldn't let go of her insecurity and anger. This one is kinda rough. Honestly, I feel bad for both of them. If I was in the current GF's shoes I'd probably be hurt and a little suspicious. But I can't imagine missing the funeral of someone so important to me. GF responded badly because it shouldn't have focused on the ex but the sudden loss of Oop's friend. That in mind, the fact the Oop and ex are getting cozy now makes me think GF might be noticed something off when she briefly saw ex and Oop together. Pure speculation, but that last paragraph gave me a little ick. Julia and her parents were looking for something to fill the gap. Going from "I hate you" to "now I will forever consider you family" is a huge mindfreak for a grieving person who was previously close to those parents. Oop dated Julia from age 18-23 roughly. Most likely his first intense and long-term relationship. So I can see why Amelia was suspicious of Oop cheating. Seeing him with the ex probably made her imagine she was seeing the old chemistry still at play. Honestly, this isn't a surprise. Amelia didn't sound capable of separating her fear, jealousy from supporting her BF through a loss, and showed no trust in her partner to stay faithful. Lordy, these people. My ex sent flowers to the funeral home when my mother died. After the funeral, I sent him a note thanking him for remembering my mom. I'm 1000% certain that he's not trying to get back together with me. I mean, the title of these posts really shows how twisted the GF made this situation out to be. Oop wasn't bailing on a wedding for his ex-GF. He was bailing on the wedding because a close friend of his had died and he wanted to go to the friend's funeral. That friend's family was only incidental to the situation. I have absolutely missed weddings for funerals and had my now husband go alone. Being there for my friend for the last time was way more important to me. I feel so sorry Amelia's jealousy stole that from Oop. God, that's rough. Although like they say, if you want to see who your true friends are, wait until you go through something. A good friend's funeral will always trump a potential future SIL's wedding. You were close to the friend, not so much the SIL. Dude should have left her the moment she didn't say, "You go to the funeral, it's obviously most important that you be there." That's just basic levels of human life. Grief and grieving matter. Amelia was still mad at me though. She blamed me for being tempted by Julia and her family. Again after the wedding. For pulling the long face. Of course she was. Because she didn't get or care why dude wanted to go in the first place. If anyone dodged a bullet here, it's Oop. He was going to go the funeral to grieve his deceased friend. Amelia was more worried that it was all about OOP's ex. And she gave him extra grief for, you know, looking sad right after his close friend died. I feel there is something missing. I'm confused. Did Oop ex travel 7 hours just to go to his house and tell him about the funeral? Why didn't she unblocking him and sending him a message? Or make a new account to send the message? And how did his ex-GF know Oop and her brother were still close if they didn't tell anyone? Edit. Thank you for the people who DM me articles about how to get into deceased one phone, really. Appreciate it. I know the missing part now, lol. That's pretty sad. Tried to go to his friend's funeral but couldn't.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.